Everyone, welcome to Blue Dragon Universe, and this is the Blue Dragon Actuarial channel, YouTube channel. So this is a topic where I have been getting some questions lately, and also couple of times, I think 5 6 times, people from a particular company, I'll not name the company, but has reached out to me saying if there is anything related to service agreements or bonds, that they can do. So I just felt that this is a dark reality of the actual world, and people should be more aware of this, especially freshers, people who are new entrants. They should be more aware of this, and this is also related to me in personal life. I have also faced such difficulty, and how I kind of manage that situation is something that I'm also going to discuss in this. So without any delay, let's move on. By the way, our courses are alive or live. If you are connected with us through Instagram, through LinkedIn, in any way, you will get this information. So we are talking specifically about employment bonds. Are bonds legal? And the answer is, short answer to this is yes, bonds are legal, right? It's many people call bonded labor is illegal in India, but bonded labor is a different thing altogether. It is for the manual labor. It is generally expressed for manual labor, but employment bonds are legal in India. And this is what employee bonds mean. If you are not aware of this, so employee bonds must adhere to certain conditions and legal principles should be enforceable. So it should follow the law of land. Basically, that's what it means. An employee bond is essentially a contract between an employer and employee, where the employee agrees to work for a specified period of time. This means that you cannot resign from the job, typically in exchange for certain benefits such as training, which is the main thing, right? Training is the main thing, salary advance or other considerations. So in India, you will not get salary advance or other considerations. This mainly boils down to training. If the company is sending you outside for some training requirement, then you are required to serve a certain period with that company, which I feel is fair. Which I feel is fair because they are also training you. So if you leave, they are at a loss, right? So you need to stay with the company for a certain time, develop other resources, develop your backup, and then only you can leave, right? So I think the terms and condition here is fair. It's not unfair. The problem arises for some other reason. If the company has particularly bad culture and company know, or the your manager know, or someone else know that they can get away with saying anything to you just because that bond is there. So that is basically culture. If the company has a cultural issue, then the bonds are problematic, right? And we're going to see that. So first of all, you need to sign that. Nobody can force you to sign that, right? And we'll touch upon this slightly, how I, kind of overcome one situation, and then I never, kind of fell into the trap of falling into or signing a bond with another company. And it should not be under any source conditions. Basically, you should not be forced to sign, right? But most of the times, what happens is, like if there is an entry level job requirement, like you have to stay with us for 2 years or 2 or 3 years, right? Especially in the BPO sector, some of the BPOs have this kind of bond, and in that case, you are kind of forced to sign that. But what I have seen, based on discussion with this many people who have reached out to me, uh, I think what happens is, people lack the spine to take legal action, because in India the legal system is not that potent. It takes time, so people just do not have that spine, right? And reasonableness, this is also very important. You can challenge those bond on reasonableness term. As the terms of the bond, including the duration of the employment, any penalties for early termination, must be reasonable and fair, right? So sometimes if the bond, the amount is very, very high, then you can challenge those. So that is where reasonableness comes into picture. And once again, it's a subjective term. So you need good lawyer to prove that your terms are reasonable and you want to exit the company on this, uh, maybe ground. But problem is, as I mentioned, Indian people, especially actual students, they do not have that courage. And also, that threat word like actuary is a small world. So because of that, many people do not want to take any action against the company, which is very, very common in US, UK, because there the legal system is very strong. So you'll not see something like this happening in US and UK. But in India, we already know there are so many cases. We already have seen that or heard that movie dialogue, Tariq pe Tariq, Tariq pe Tariq. So we know that, and we know what happens in legal cases in India. We are actually in an unfortunate state if something like this happens. So we usually try to avoid that. But yeah, so this is what an employment bond means. You are, so in some condition, you would be forced to serve the company for certain years if you have, signed it, and obviously you have signed it voluntarily. But the reasonableness of that needs to be determined. But once again, as I mentioned, people lack the spine to kind of, go ahead with legal, what can I say, tussle with the company. People don't want to do that. That's what I've seen. So how it is usually used, right? And mainly it is used for foreign trips, and foreign trips are for training. So like I mentioned, I think the terms are fair. The company pay for your training expense and living cost, right? And that's why this is used. You need to honor that for a particular time period, which I believe is fair, right? I mentioned already mentioned because they are doing something extra for you, so that's why they need this service agreement. The problem is the company has bad culture. That is the problem. If the company already has bad culture, then this thing can impact you, right? Moving on, few VPOs have this as entry level job. Even without the training and everything, they actually consider the entry in actual world that they have to spend time training you. So that they are considering, and then that's why they have service agreements, which should not be the case. You should be like good managers will always train good employees under them. I always believe in that, but I can tell you 99.99% people in the actual world do not believe in training any others. That is the reason I opened the Blue Dragon universe. But then I have also seen that people these days, especially fresher these days, are also not interested in learning. So the like few people were very interested in IFRS 17, but most are not. They do not realize the importance of IFRS 17, how much value that would add. We still get requests saying that the fees is high. Can we can you reduce the fees and like that? And they what they do not understand is course like actual engineering, inner engineering, then the IFRS 17 will move your career ahead by 2 3 years and completely ahead of your peers. The problem is you do not have the vision to realize that, probably because you are at a fresher level, right? You do not have that knowledge about the industry. That's fair, but most do not have that, and that is what is surprising to me, because when I was a fresher, I had that vision. But problem is today this generation do not have that vision, and that's a bit surprising. Probably has to do something with the upbringing and how things have evolved in last couple of years. But it's a bit sad and surprising to see that. But yeah, this is how the employment bond is used. So how it changes your relationship with the employer. So it is an asymmetric relationship. Like if you have valued guarantees in life insurance, financial guarantees. So this is what it means. It is a asymmetric relationship. And jokingly, I've mentioned like marriages in India, because if you know the rules and regulation, marriages are very biased towards the fairer gender, the females basically, and many people uses those regulations and laws against people. There are so many cricketers kind of following such have failed marriages, and they are forced to pay alimony and so many other things. That is one of the reason I'm still not married, right? But yeah, marrying the right person is very good. I mean, that will once again that will move your career and every other thing in your life ahead in by leaps and bounds, once again by a couple of years. But finding that right person is very difficult. So I don't believe in any societal pressure to get married. But yeah, of course, I mean, if you are in a right relationship, the right thing to do is probably the marriage. I do believe in the institution of marriage, but I don't believe in the following tradition just for the sake of it, right? So it is an asymmetric relationship. Your employer can fire you, right? The employer can fire you, but you can't leave the employer, and that is where the problem kind of arises, when it might lead to mental harassment if things go sour. And most do not have guts, like I mentioned, because our legal system is not that potent and quick, right? So what are your options? The first option is pay amount and leave. I think this is the best possible option. Whoever has reached out to me, I've told them, hey, can you pay the amount and kind of leave? Most people are not willing to pay the amount as well. Even if they have the capability to pay the amount, they are not willing to pay the amount. They are just looking for something else, but then they do not have the spine to fight as well. Right. So the best option is to pay the amount and leave. Right. And usually the amount will be decreasing with duration. I'll share my own story where it will become more clear. Also, if you want to take some action without paying the amount, then you can abscond. But once again, that is not the right approach, right? Because if you abscond, then you will let go of your experience later. Possible the company can fire a legal case against you, or company can have some legal damage, may make you pay some legal damage, and also you have reputational damage. What if the HR put come in LinkedIn and post a para about you saying that you have left the company and others should not hire you? That can cause reputational damage to you, right? And irrespective of how many papers you have cleared, that will stay. The if someone make that post about you, especially someone from the senior level, especially in the actual world, that might create some damage for you. So I don't suggest this, but that is also one of the option, right? And many people are actually willing to, like, people who have I kind of interacted with, they are more willing to follow this, that I will abscond, because they are at the initial stage. They do not need experience later, maybe 6 months, 7 months down, and just they have got a corporate job, so they do not need that experience later. They think that, yeah, I'll take that risk and I'll abscond, and I'll not show this company in my experience or in my CV. Right. So if you can do that, if you're willing to take that risk, this is also one of the option, right? Another thing is legal step. If the terms and conditions are sourced, basically if it's not reasonable, and then you can like your salary is 5 lakhs and the bond agreement is for 20 lakhs, so then it is not reasonable, right? It has to be lower than your salary, because you are not the company is not paying you more than that, or in any case you are not required to serve the company more than what the company is paying you. So it cannot be more than your salary amount. So if it is something like that, then you need to take legal steps. Once again, it is a long drawn process. You need to hire a lawyer. You need to go through those cycles, and lack of sleep overnight, lack of probably more tensions and stress, etc. But if you I think this is probably the case where you want to keep your spine straight, and you also do not want to pay the amount. But I can tell you once again, 99.99% people of this generation do not have the guts to do this, because that's what I've seen, from the interaction. And I think the best thing is to avoid such company, because employment bonds are usually a sign of bad culture. It's like an indicator that this company may not be good. This company may have bad culture, because good companies will send you in those training trips, and they will never have the agreements for that, right? So I mean, I can give you an example. Like when I was in Sun Life, I my passport went for Canada visa, and I did not have to sign any bond for that, right? So I mean, yeah, so good companies will never require you to sign any bond, and because they will believe and trust their employees, and if they have good attractive pay package and timely promotions and increments, why would you leave that company, right? There is no point in leaving that company. Why should you leave good culture? You can get salary, but getting a good culture is very, very difficult. So if you are in a company with good culture, if you are getting good projects, if you are learning every day, stay in that company. Why should you leave? Right? So leaving this concept of leaving the company is very, very outdated, as I would say. But once again, the problem is in the actual sector, especially in the lower level, you are not get paid enough, because you do not have the paper, or whatever paper knowledge you have is useless. You have already probably seen that. So that's why you need training, and once you get that training, then you want to leave. And then also that is why the company also have this sort of different steps to kind of force you to stay, right? So it goes both ways. We are, all of us are kind of selfish. The actual fresher I meet these days, they are also selfish. We are also selfish. And then the insurance company understand that they are selfish, so they also have to selfish. So this is just two selfish entities colliding, creating such nuisance in the industry. So we can't help that, right? But if you are in a good nature company, good culture company, this would not arise. So the best is to kind of not join a company with employment bond, but obviously that is not practical. Maybe you are struggling to get a job, finally you get a job, and then uh, there is some employment bond, you will just think that let me, sign this and get it over with, right? So this is where my own story, comes into pictures, because all this, GAN can be given by anyone. The reason I wanted to share the story is because it can happen to anyone. It happened with me. It can happen with you as well. And I'm not telling something or not commenting on something of which I have no idea about. So if I do not have any idea about something, I believe it's better to say that I don't know about this, right? Once again, many people struggle to say that as well. Right? Not knowing something is like some insult to them, but I do not believe in that, and I'll also suggest you do not believe in that. If you do not know something, then you do not know something, right? Then you can, if you accept that, you can get knowledge over that over a period of time. But if you do not accept that you don't know something, then you are never going to learn about that. So that is why it is very important that you, once again, you learn and you accept that you don't know something when you don't know something, right? But anyways, moving back to my own story. So I started my corporate journey as management training in SBI Life. I had no idea what actually at that point of time. I did my MBA, and then I got placed into SBI Life. So I think many people probably already know about that. So in 1 year, I got promoted to AM. It's a kind of auto promotion. Uh, if you perform decently, you will automatically get promoted to AM. Only if you perform very very poorly, then only that promotion will get stuck, right? So I already got into a decent level in 1 year, right? AM is regarded as a kind of a, like slightly middle management, type of role. But I want to move into actual. I tried to move into the actual department as well. It's not happening. People only with contacts were moving there. So that's why I failed. And I started taking interviews. I failed in around 21 interviews. It just does not mean that I failed in 21 interviews. It means that I cleared the first round, second round, and then used to clear and fail in the third round. Then once again, I started first round, second round, and I used to fail in the fourth round or fifth round. Right. The reason for that was people used to ask me, "Hey, do you know Profit? Do you know Access? Do you know Moses?" The problem is you cannot, right? Because those are actual softwares. You cannot install that in your laptop. License costs 17, 18 lakhs rupees these days. In during our time, it was I think 6 lakhs, right? So you cannot have those software. Those are enterprise level software in any case, right? So that is where I created this course like actual inner engineering, where you can understand how the calculation inside actual software, kind of goes through. But problem is, like, as I mentioned, the actual fresher these days, they do not realize the importance of that, right? IFRS 17 is still something that they keep on hearing, so they believe on that. But most people do not understand the importance of learning an actual software, because in a financial, profession, the softwares are very important. Unless you do not know the software in and out, you cannot deliver the job, because otherwise everything is theory. What happens in practical is completely different from what you study in books. Probably you have already kind of read about that, or already have felt that even the simple thing of calculation of reserve, where the entire CT5 and CT6 or whatever it's called, CM1 and CH2 is based on, or maybe CM2 probably, those are not done in same way in the practical life, right? So whatever you are learning in book, these are theoretical concepts, just useless in practical world. Those are not, those methods are not going to be used, right? So you can understand, right? I feel that probably we have done enough. We have made you aware more than enough number of times to understand that bookish concepts are not used in real life, right? So I failed around 21 interviews. Then I cleared AXA business, and I took a minor pay cut as well, because my salary as AM was mine quite high. I also did MBA, that also kind of raised the bar, right? So that's why I had to take a minor pay cut to join AXA business. So these are the sacrifices that I had to make, right? I also gave up on my designation. From AM, I joined as analyst, right, which was the lowest level. So there was those sacrifices that I had to kind of go through, right? But then there was no bond on joining, but there was a US travel that was planned, and that was the first time that I had to took my passport, and also I have to give that passport for the visa stamping and go through the visa process. Incidentally, that passport is expiring today, which is 18th of August. So I took the passport 10 years before, which is on 18th, or got the passport 18th of August 2024, 2014. At that point of time, I was thinking of writing CFA exams and FRM exam, which I wrote much later in my life. But I was not, kind of unsure about to do what at that point of time. But then actually kind of stick with me. Anyways, and so that is the reason that I have to sign a bond, that because a US travel was planned and it was a training exercise. I was not told of this during the interview process, right? I was not told of this. Usually, people will ask that, "Are you comfortable in traveling abroad? Is it good?" I mean, most people will say yes. Most people want to leave India, although they are very hyper patriotic in their social media, but most people want to leave India at this point of time. That is also one thing I've seen. But uh, if they had told me that I had to sign a bond, I probably would never join. But this was not told to me. So that is the first thing that you have to keep in mind. And then the bond value was 6 lakhs at that point of time. It was quite big. It was quite close to my salary amount as well. And it was reducing 1.5 lakhs every quarter. So after 1 year, the bond would be kind of zero, but it will start from the date of return, not from the date of travel, right? Or not from the date in which your US trip has started, but it will start from the date of your return. So my stay was extended by 15 days because the training was not complete. And that's why the start of my bond was delayed by 15 days, which is not my fault, which is someone else's fault. But because of this clause, the bond would start with from the date of return, right? Now, if you don't pay the bond while living in 1 year, it will be compounding at 18% per annum. So maybe you do not pay the bond, like I mentioned, you abscond, and then after some time you want to claim that experience letter, you have to pay at a rate of 18%. Like from the time you have not paid the amount and you have stopped coming to the office, you have to pay that amount compounded by 18%. And 18% is a very high rate. Even the personal loan rate is much lower than 18%, right? So this is just a HR, kind of, what can I say, jugglery to keep you in the job, right? Because 18% is very, very high. So where things go sour is in an airport cab right now. I do not want to go into too much detail, but I can say in short detail, what happened was completely not my fault. What happened was we are new to US and there was some do's and don'ts that was kind of shared in the travel, but obviously every detail cannot be shared, right? So I was traveling with two other people. There was a female with me who was carrying a lot of bags, and there was another person was not from Actuary, was from a different team, accounts team probably. So the female that I had, that person was carrying a lot of bags. I think there was around 7 bags, like hand small bags, big bags. So I think there is a particular number of bags that are allowed. I think 2 bags now, but I think at that point of time there was more bags you can carry. And she was carrying one bag just to bring stuff for her friends and family, right? So she was unable to carry all those bags. So I was carrying all her bags because it was difficult for I just felt that it was, as basic courtesy. And they were booking the cab. Right. So at that point of time, there was no online booking or anything like that. So you have to kind of talk to the drivers and fix a rate. So I was walking much behind them and they were much ahead of me because I told them, hey, go and, kind of book the cab. So what they did is they did not finalize an amount. So when I raised the cabs, they already had a cab ready. I just put the, luggage in the cab, and obviously had to book a big cab because otherwise our luggage would not fit in. 7 bags from that female only, right? I do not want to take anyone's name. That's why I'm not taking the name. Otherwise, I could have easily. That female is in actual world only, but I'm not friends with that person, so that's why I'm not taking her name. Now, what happened at that point of time is uh, just after reaching the place, the driver asked for money, which was around $150. So basically, the amount should be around $50. That trip should be around $50. but he charged money for each of us. $50, $50, $50, which should not be the case. But what should we do at that point of time? Should we fight? We should not fight, right? We are just in a foreign land, right? And so what happened is others pay only sorry, that ride was for $150. The justified cost would be $150, and the driver asked for $450, which is 27,000 at that point of time. Now it is much more, but at that point of time it was $60, right? So what happened was, the other people who actually booked the cab, right? It was their responsibility to kind of fix the fare. That's why I told them to go ahead. But problem is, the problem is people lack common sense, right? So that is where they were not willing to pay. Now obviously all of us have some cash in dollars, so I paid that entire amount. I paid $400. $50 was paid by the two others. So when it comes to reimbursement, the person who was heading the team, his name is Alok Vijay. He's still working in, I think, actual world. So he told me that, hey, I cannot reimburse this because your amount is too high, and this should be called into inspection by the audit team, and they will say that how can you, while others are paying $150, how can you pay three times the amount? The problem here is he is not willing to listen to my side of the story. I have a proper bill because, obviously the driver gave the bill to me. And when this happened, the rest remaining two people, right, the female whose bag I was carrying and the other person, they conveniently took the back seat. They said, hey, it's $50 for me, does not matter, it's just 3,000 rupees for them. It is 3,000 also being split between both of them, right? So it is me who has paid the 24,000, right? So they took the back seat. They were not, they did not want to be bothered. It was my fight versus the management, which is where the things went sour, right? So there was a lot of discussions about that. I don't want to go into detail. Probably that is a story for another video. If you want to know more about the story, how, what I did and how I got that 24,000 reimbursement, so you can, that's a good lesson on corporate politics, right? But then that is not the intention for this video. So that is where, my thing started to shower with the management, because I'm, kind of uh, saying that, hey, you have to pay this because I have the bill, right? I am, and it's not that I am, kind of forging that bill. I'm creating, I'm not creating that bill, right? It's something that I have to pay from my own pocket. So that is I'm right, I'm justified in doing so. Their question was, you were given some do's and don'ts, why have you not followed the do's and don'ts, right? The problem is I have not booked the cab. The cab is booked by someone else. If I would book the cab, then I would do that. I was just, my fault was just trusting two people. I believe that they would have that common sense. So that's the only fault. But later I got that amount, so I do not have to. I have to go through some mental hassles, but I got the amount. But that is where things started to get shower between me and the management, right? And then however, after 8 months, when I finally decided to, leave AXA, was around 8 months after this incident. What happened is, and there was multiple other incident as well. Because of this, the management tried to penalize me in multiple ways. But yeah, that is kind of expected, right? But after 8 months, I took around a week leave, and when I returned, I saw that the client put some blame on me, saying that it is my mistake, but actually it was their mistake. So then when I came back, there was a joint call that happened with the, manager and the client, who was like basically those persons who trained me in US. And when I discussed that with them, they completely went back on their word, saying that no, no, it's not Urban's fault, it's someone, it is from our team. But they did send an email and other stuff saying that, hey, this person is not here, he have not done his job, and he have gone before, kind of submitting what he needed to submit for this quarter, and etc. So I feel that because I continuously had that bad culture, right? That's why I was kind of saying that this airport cap, as per me, is not a big deal. What does 24,000 matter for any company, right? I mean, this is a very small amount for a company at that level, right? The company has sent around 60-65 people for that US trip. 24,000 was just nothing for that company, right? But the problem is, if you have bad culture, then this thing will matter, right? And in this 8 months, I have seen multiple things. I have felt that the company has very bad culture, and but I felt that because I have made those sacrifices, I have left the designation, I've left a good culture company. SBI Life, the operation department was very good to me. My best friend is from SBI Life. I still talk to many people. I still have a WhatsApp group with them. The best company I've worked for, the best people, the best set of people that I've worked for is will be SBI Life, right? So I feel that I mean uh, all of those sacrifices, I don't want to kind of leave the company just because of one incident. And I felt that this incident will also slowly it will die down, things will get better. But then after 8 months this happened. So then I felt that the company has bad culture. Now if there is, I'm also getting into a tussle with the company, and I feel that I should not continue this job, right? But then this is where the problem starts, right? It was a direct hit to my self-respect. Someone is blaming me that you have not done your work properly, right? So I went home early to sleep over it, because I do not want to, and never in my life or never in your life, you should take a decision in a hothead condition, right? In an aggressive mindset. You always take the decision with calm mind. That's why I always say that do not be Ganguly of the Lord's balcony, even though that video would be shown and kind of a defining moment in Indian cricket. But I don't think that is correct. That is the reason that he never went on to win any ICC trophy. Always be Dhoni, never be Ganguly. And I'm saying that I'm a Bengali, right? But I believe that Dhoni is by far the best captain and will be the best captain. I don't think there would be anyone who's as calm and composed as Dhoni is. I was never a Dhoni fan till a certain point of time, like maybe till his retirement, after which seeing his decision, seeing the way he functioned, I kind of became what can I say, not fan, but I appreciate his personality, right? So I cannot say the same for Saurabh Ganguly, although many people believe that he created the Indian cricket team and made them aggressive, but I think aggression do not work, right? The field is, or the professional life is not the place for aggression. So I already mentioned to my manager before I leave for that day that hey, I'm going to quit. I'm going to resign. But I want to think over it, obviously. So that is the reason I am explaining this to you. So that's why today I want to go home early, right? And then my manager quickly reminded me of the employment bond. This is where that asymmetric relationship comes into picture. That you cannot leave, I can fire you. I can say anything to you, but you cannot leave, and that's the problem, right? That is the problem that arises in employment bond. That was painful, as like I mentioned, as I have to go through a lot of sacrifices, right? So key considerations here that you need to understand is, am I bad at work, or am I blaming the company for my own weakness? Now, this interactions that I had with people, uh, for which I am making this video, many people actually are bad in their work, and they, when the company is asking for them to deliver, they are not able to deliver, and then they are blaming the company. So I also had to, first I have to look inward, like I have to introspect and see if I am bad in work. If I am bad in work, then I cannot blame the company, then I deserve that, and I have to kind of improve myself on that, right? So first should be the point of introspection, that am I bad in work? If I am bad in work, then this is bound to happen wherever I go, right? Otherwise, this is a company specific thing. But if I am bad in work, then this will happen everywhere. So I cannot blame the company for my own weakness. That is the first thing you should consider. Most people are not able to accept that they are not good in work. Once again, that is an insult to them. They cannot say, I do not know. And that is where the problem lies. That is where they stop learning, right? So the first question that I asked to myself is, am I bad in work? Next thing is, do I have the amount to pay, or I have to take money from my parents? Luckily for this case, I had the amount to pay, right? I never, spend uh, without any reason. So that's why I always had the amount to pay. Also, I saved some money from that US trip itself. So that US trip itself financed this, and also 8 months have passed. In the last quarter, I had to pay. I had to pay around 1.5 lakhs, right? That six lakhs kept on reducing. Depending on your resignation day and depending on your last day, that amount will be fixed. So it will be 1.5 lakhs. I already had that 1.5 lakhs. I could pay. I did not have to take money from my parents. Also, I had money to survive for a couple of more months, right? That is the reason I never had to take any money from the parents. Most people today I interact with, they have to take the money from parents. So then you cannot take this decision, right? Next is what will I say in the next job? Because most people will think that I have attitude issues, right? So that is also very, very important. Should I take the honest path or should I not take the honest path, right? Because most people probably will not believe me, and they will say, and it happened as well, right? In one of my interview, once again, will not name the company, but it's a consultancy company. It's a big four. I went from Pune to AXA business was in Pune. I went from Pune to Mumbai, traveling for 3 hours, and then I gave a 90 minutes interview in that, and that the interviewer was trying to prove that I have some attitude issue, and he was not able to do that for 90 minutes. But and in the very last second, something happened. Once again, that is a story for another video. But yeah, but that's something happens. So people who are not able to digest the fact that because of bad culture I left a company. Once again, this is an India specific issue. If you are working in UK, if you are working in US, culture is very important there. Right now I'm working in a company which is based on, like, my manager sits in Scotland, right? And that's where culture is very, very important. He never he's like extremely strict against working long hours. Right? He always tell me that you never have to attend any meeting outside your working hours, which is not the case in India. Right? Indians do not have that mentality. But in any case, right? So this is something that is very, very big in outside world. If you say the culture of that company is not good, the company, then people will think that yeah, that company is not good. Right? Here, if you say the culture of the company is not good, they will say that the culture in my company will also be not good. You have to adjust. Right? So that is that is our Indian thought process or mentality. Anyways, is this one time thing or the company a bad culture? So this is what we have to kind of, and pardon these things, it should be one time thing, right? So this is something that you have to ask. Have you seen a chain of events, or this is just a one event that is triggering you, right? Sometimes one event might be big enough, right? But probably it's better that if you have seen a chain of events. So I have seen that travel episode. I've seen multiple other things. My rating got, I was given bad rating instead of, in spite of working well and hard. So there are multiple things that I've observed, and that prompted me to leave the company, right? So it is, you always have to think every aspect before taking a decision which is as big as this, right? So that is where it is very, very important. You think through, then you decide, right? First of all, you have to introspect, and then you have to see if you have the money to pay. If you do not have the money, then you do not have the right to, kind of resign. Then you have to follow the terms and conditions, right? And then what will you say in the next job, right? And then finally, if the company has given you hints or indications that this is not a good company, right? So nothing stands out self-respect. Once again, my parents did not support me, right? Especially because my parents did not want me to leave SBI life. They wanted me to stay in SBI life because of I always keep on saying good things about SBI life. My father visited SBI life once, and many people, like, it's our Indian culture to, touch the feet. And my father was deeply impressed. Everyone, kind of touch his feet, especially in my team. So, I mean, that is something he values, right? Those are Indian values. And that's why my parents did not want me to leave SBI. But then when I did, uh, they were not, kind of supportive, that they are saying that you are taking random decisions, you have to adjust. And once again, the Indian mentality comes into picture. But my brother supported me. He told me that this is his line, like, you need a job to live a life of self-respect, right? But you have a family to take care of your daily needs. If you do not want to work, if you want to take some rest, then he's earning. My parents were, at that point of time, they were pensioners, but they can take care of him. Like, I'll not die in the streets struggling for food. That was not our condition, right? So obviously job is needed for self-respect, job is needed to live a better life, right? So that is also very, very important. But if something is happening there, so this is what he told me: keep your spinal cord straight. Then from that day to till today, I can proudly say that I have always kept my spinal cord straight. When I don't like something, I've always, uh, you know, uh, opposed that idea. be it working on weekend, be it working overtime. If I don't like that, I have always, end up kind of oppose the idea. Anyways, moving on. So I resigned from the job, served 2 months notice period. I planned for all of this, right? And then I paid the bond amount from my own pocket, which was 1.5 lakhs. I encashed my EPF to survive for the next 4 months. So I gave myself this time. If I cannot get job in 4 months, then I have to do something else. Maybe I have to write government exams. I already cleared one of the bank PO much before I did MBA. So I thought that I have to probably go in that direction if I cannot get a job, but I have to find something, right? But I am going to give actually 4 more months so that if I can get a job within that time period, then that's fine, right? And I got job after 2 months. So I left the job without any job, but then I got an offer from Excite Life at that point, to be very specific. But then things did not work out. They kept on delaying the offer. Then finally, I got an offer from AIG and I joined. I came to Gurgaon. I joined AIG, and since then I'm living in the same place. It has been more than 8 years. I joined AIG in 2016, and I'm still in Gurgaon. Same flat, same place, same location, right? So that's how it is, right? So that's what I wanted to, kind of mention, that nothing stands above your self-respect. If your self-respect is hit, if from your, what can I say, from your own mind, from your own heart, you are hearing this noise that you have to leave this company, then you have to leave this company, right? There is no other way about it. But then you also have to think calmly about the pros and cons, what you can do, what you cannot do. Do you have the financial strength to do that? And if you do not have the financial strength to do that, right, then you should stay in that company with that pinch of salt and accumulate that financial strength, right? Moving on, was that a good decision? So leaving a job without job is never suggested. I never suggest that to anyone, right? Although I've done it, I'll never suggest that to anyone. However, very few have the spine to do it. So even if I suggest that to someone, very few people would have done it. In my life, I have seen only two more people, both females, who has the ability to do that. I have never seen a single man in my life who has the ability to do that, right? They speak really big, but then they can't do that. So things like said that females have more mental strength. I have seen that happening, right? So and that is where the the challenge lies. This leaving a job is a lot of mental strength. Even you might have the money, you might have the the family backing you, but still leaving a job will require a lot of mental strength. And I've not seen uh, you know many people do that. As I mentioned, only 2% I know had the spine to leave the job without any job, right? So it is not something that everyone can do. Moving on, the work profile for me was not great there either. So I realized that during interviews after access. So I immediately realized that whatever work I'm doing here, that is also not treated in very high regard. That is where I kept on saying that whatever you read in books, and if you are working in a KPO which is not giving you very good work, so you just press A and then B and then the C and then D and finally and the step E, the work is over. It's just a very manual task, right? You are not applying your brain. So as an actuary, if you are not applying your brain, then you are doing a great disservice to yourself. Like I use that term, paper actuary. So then you are a paper actuary. You do not know anything about actuary, right? So same kind of work I was doing in AXA. Obviously, as I was the junior most level, you cannot expect to do very good work, right? But the the thing is, whatever I was doing was also not valued that highly, and that I realized in interviews. Right? So I took that is the reason I took 2 months to get a job, because I had to upgrade my knowledge. But that also once again showed that picture or mirror to me that hey, you are not good. You have to be better than this. Your current level is not good enough, right? So most people cannot accept that as well, right? It's like an insult to them. How can I say that it's that I am not good? But for me, it's very easy to say I am not good in this area. It's very good to say, very easy to say for me. And finally, I believe that that did not impact me in any way. I kept on clearing papers. Even in that situation, I cleared two papers, I believe, in September, two or one paper, I don't remember. And I cleared the paper with very good marks. Right. So that is from 2007, September 2016, I believe, they started giving marks. Right. 2015, I believe, September 2015, because I joined in 2016. So they started showing, the IFOA started showing marks, and I got very good marks. Right? And I that's why I believe that it's very important to have a uh, calm mind, right, to think through everything and then take a big decision, right. And I never had to take any penny from my parents, so although they never supported that, uh, if you ask them today, so they are very proud of that fact that I handled that difficult situation on my own, and that's why they also believe me to take critical and difficult decision in my life and to come out of it, maybe doing well. So like recently, I'm doing some experimentation stock market. I'm losing money, but they are very okay with that because I've done so many, and I've taken so many difficult decisions in the past and justified them. That now my parents take suggestion from me before taking a decision, which is not the case with most of you. I understand that. Right? You take suggestion from your parents, teachers, girlfriend, boyfriend, every other friend, neighbors, their neighbors, and then even then you are not able to come at a decision. For me, I take my own decisions. I think that is what life is about: taking your own decision, living life in your terms, accept your mistake, and then move on, right. And also learn from your mistakes, right. So I feel that that was a great decision. It was not a good decision, it was a great decision that I left the job, but I had the means to do so. I had a calm mind to do so. And if you are in similar situation, you have to consider the pros and cons, right. I've already given you what options you have, and then you have to kind of take the decision, right. So you are not the first person to win that situation. You will not be the last person to win that situation. Don't be alarmed by by getting into that situation, right. It happened with many people. It happened with me. It can happen with anyone else, right. But then that does not matter. If such thing persists, like if every job you get into such difficulty, then there is some issue with your attitude, definitely, right. But if that is one time you know thing for you, one particular company did not suit you, that doesn't mean the company is bad or the people working there, they are bad. That only means that for you, that setup is not working, basically, right. So they might be very good people, and that company might be very good, that company might be very good in multiple other aspects, right. But if for you it is not working, then you have to leave, right. But when you leave depends on your judgment and your common sense and your logic and everything else, right. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, any comment on this topic, you can write to us, and you can put that in the comment section. You can also share your own experience in the comment section. Probably that will help many people. And I thought of making a detailed video on this because I've got many requests on that and many messages on that. And guys, once again, I'd like to tell you that I'm still on my LinkedIn break. You might see me messaging or posting something, but that does not mean I'm back in LinkedIn. So most of the time I try to answer, but if I don't answer in LinkedIn, please don't feel bad. If I, whenever I'm back in LinkedIn, I'll message or I'll inform, right? It's better that you follow our for any question related courses or anything else. Please message our Blue Dragon Universe LinkedIn page and not me, right? Because we have a proper hierarchy. There is a team which is looking into that questions and everything. So you have to message them, and that is the proper process. Do not message me. Message the LinkedIn for any query on Actuary, for anything. Please message the LinkedIn page unless it is something directly related to me, right? So I'll prefer that you message our LinkedIn page, right? So I hope this was a good session for you to understand what mindset you should have and how you should deal with such difficult condition. And I also share my own life, story. So that's it. See you in future videos.